Police say they believe they have the man responsible for Inspector Bloch's killing in custody.
2 women face multiple drug charges here at the magistrate's court.
Students at AF Adderley are back in the classroom.
A BPL union leader reveals what's needed to stop those blackouts.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. 2 days after authorities launched an island-wide hunt for the gunman who shot and killed a 45-year-old police officer outside his son's school, 2 men have been taken into custody and are now assisting police with their investigation. Officials tell us one of those men is believed to be the principal suspect. Jared Higgs has the details.
Police are remaining tight-lipped about their inquiry into who killed Police Inspector Carlos Bloch. However, Our News understands that officers are confident that they have the principal suspect in custody. Senior police officers reveal that 2 men are currently assisting police with their investigation. However, they refuse to provide details on camera as they say they're in a sensitive and critical stage in the investigation. We understand that Bloch's young daughter, who was in the backseat of his car when he was shot, was at the Central Detective Unit this afternoon. Bloch's brother also says that he does not want to speculate about the investigation. He says he just wants the police to do their job. When asked about how he felt about such a senseless act being perpetrated on his older brother, a teary-eyed Marcus Bloch says he knows his brother, a father of 4, chose a risky career path. However, he hoped that his predominantly administrative capacity would insulate him from the dangers of the job.
I know police are targeted. They are targeted, but Carlos, for the last 14 years, he was not stationed on the road, and so he wouldn't have any involvement with the day-to-day action with persons. He was always at the government house, and so I don't think it would be someone who on the streets or what. But I don't want to speculate. I don't want to point fingers at anything. I just wait for the law to do its course, and I guess we go from there.
On Wednesday, Bloch, 45, was picking up his son from H.O. Nash Junior School when officers say he was approached by a gunman who ordered him out of his blue Hyundai Elantra vehicle before shooting him. Bloch's daughter was able to exit the vehicle before it was driven away by the gunman. Police eventually found the car, which was ditched near Farrington Road. Bloch was transported to hospital, where he later died. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
Well, amid controversy, businessman Edison Sumner has tendered his resignation as CEO of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation with immediate effect, noting recent reports have made it challenging for him to continue in that role.
Become a member of the Chamber today. We believe that the country, the Chamber, your business will all be stronger for it.
In a letter to Chairman Mike Maurer dated September 14th, Sumner said, unfortunately, recent reports of a long-standing legacy issue have made it challenging for me to continue in my role as the CEO of this great organization. The BCCEC is too important an organization and has too great a responsibility to be distracted or compromised by these matters. My decision to resign is in the best interest of the BCCEC, as well as in the best interest of me and my family at this time. It all stems from reports of Sumner receiving a 10-year capital markets ban. Now, it is unclear at this time if Sumner, who was recently appointed to the National Insurance Board, will resign from that position as well. He and other board members were appointed for the July 1st, 2018 to June 30th, 2019 period. We reached out to Chamber Chairman Mike Moore for comment. However, he declined, saying the Chamber will release a statement in the coming days. We also reached out to Sumner, who did not return our calls. Over his 5-year tenure as Chamber CEO, Sumner has voiced his position and that of the Chamber on numerous issues, from raising taxes to national health insurance.
Very pleased with the output coming out of the Chamber this year. It's been a very, very busy year for us. A very heavy agenda.
In his resignation letter, Sumner said, "We have had significant achievements and seen tremendous growth and development over the years, and I believe I'm leaving the BCCEC in a much better state than when I assumed the role of CEO over 5 years ago." In other news, a tearful 60-year-old was among 2 women charged in the magistrate's court today in connection with that recent drug-related arrest at the Department of Corrections. Giorgio Bain reports.
Following that drug bust at the Bahamas Department of Corrections last week, 2 women are brought before the magistrate's court to face 2 drug-related charges.
I find out why innocent people could be in jail now.
60-year-old Wendy Margaret Smith of Windsor Place, seen in the black and white, and 43-year-old Siobhan Johnson of Baintown in the peach shirt and pants appeared before Magistrate Shubusola Swain to answer to drug-related charges. The pair were charged with conspiracy to possess dangerous drugs with the intent to supply, namely Indian hemp. They were also charged with possession of dangerous drugs with the intent to supply, namely Indian hemp. As the magistrate read the charges, 60-year-old Smith was in tears and kept shaking her head in disbelief. According to police reports, around 11 a.m. on Saturday, September 6, a female presented 2 plates of food to the property intake section of the Bahamas Department of Corrections. Officers conducted a routine check of the food and discovered at the bottom of one of the plates a quantity of suspected marijuana. The drugs weighed in at 1 ounce with a street value of $100. Both women entered a not guilty plea to both charges. They were denied bail but were made aware of their right to apply for bail in the Supreme Court. Both of them were remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections until they returned to court on October 29th.
Hello, what you know? Anyhow, one day you'll find out. All right. Before I get my and I know I can come over this.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Georgia Bain.
All right, thanks, Georgia. Well, after widespread load shedding impacted hundreds of New Providence residents last night, frustrated customers fear BPL's woes will stretch beyond the summer months. Union officials urge executive management to stop dragging its feet and act now to fix power generation issues. With more on this, here's Jasmine Brown.
I think immediately management has to decide how we're going to increase the capacity to a safe level where we have enough to provide power for the demand, as well as have a spare plant in case of any maintenance issues or things that have to be taken offline.
President of the Bahamas Electrical Managers Union, Anthony Christie, says he cannot stress enough the need for management to make a decision amid ongoing power generation issues across New Providence that were the result of 3 fires at the Clifton Pier power plant last weekend. BPL CEO Whitney Hasty acknowledged during a press conference on Saturday that BPL will be challenged this week and load shedding would be necessary until the power company has adequate capacity to offset demand. Christie says it has become clear the issue is critical as BPL is only generating just enough power to keep the lights on.
We lost our 2 largest assets, and that's a concern because now the capacity to provide power to the entire island of New Providence is less. So I think immediately management has to decide how we're going to increase the capacity to a safe level where we have enough to provide power for the demand, as well as have a spare plant in case of any maintenance issues or things that have to be taken offline. And that's the major concern that they need to address right away.
Christie said his members will work around the clock if necessary to ensure all is done to avert what the union considers a crisis. The BAMU president added there are several immediate quick fixes that can boost power generation and keep the lights on.
Rental generators are an option, or they can have an agreement. We talk about the Shell agreement, but for a new plant, that's going to take over 18 months, even longer, to put in place. But rentals are a quick solution, but there may be other options as well to get more capacity installed on the island.
What would be other options?
Well, they can purchase units and install it in rather short time, or they have turnkey systems that can be put in place right away.
Now, Christie admits getting those generators on the island as quickly as possible will be costly. However, he insists it's the only way to wipe out those blackouts. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
All right, still to come on Our News, AF elderly teachers return to the classroom. Plus, find out where I'm working out this Fit Friday. Stay tuned.